An officer pulled over to assist a woman with a flat tire in the early morning hours of October 13th, 2003. He stayed with this woman until her foster brother showed up to help change the tire. Now, the woman hasn't been seen since. This is the case of Bernadette Rodko. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that, as always, you can find important information about today's case in the description box down below, including contact information and relevant case IDs. Now, I'm also shaking things up a little bit, and I will now be using Pastebin for my sources. You will find a link to the Pastebin page for today's sources in the description box down below, as well as in previous videos. My sources were then pinned to the top of the comment section, and now these pinned comments on previous videos will remain where they are, but I will still be going through and also adding Pastebin links in the description boxes of all my older videos too. Now, if you guys are against this change for any reason, I'm always willing to hear out your feedback in the comments down below. And now on to today's case. There isn't a lot of personal information available about Bernadette Rodko online, so although we may not know much about her backstory, her case is still worth covering today because it still remains at this time unsolved. What we do know about Bernadette's case, though, is that she had traveled. Now, she traveled from Hanover Township, Pennsylvania, to Mooresville, North Carolina, and the purpose for this trip seems to be a visit to her foster brother, Chris. Now, over the years, the investigation into Bernadette's case would reveal that she had told friends that she was collecting a debt, and it seems that she may have been referring to some type of financial transaction with her foster brother, though we don't know that completely for certain. Bernadette had only just left Mooresville to head back to Pennsylvania in the early morning hours of October 13th, 2003, when she got a flat tire. Now, she had only made it to mile marker 43 on Interstate 77, which was only around 10 miles north on the highway from Mooresville. Soon enough, a cop pulled over to check that everything was okay, and he stayed with Bernadette while she waited for her foster brother to show up and help change her tire. Now, when Chris did show up, the officer left the scene. Bernadette hasn't been seen since. What we do know, though, is that her tire was successfully changed because her car, which was a silver and black 86 Pontiac Fiero, was eventually discovered back in Mooresville at a storage unit off of the 150. Now, it had been abandoned there, and there was no sign of Bernadette anywhere. For years, there were no further updates in her case, so it wasn't until 2017 that it seemed to be picked up again. It was in August of that year that Mooresville Police and the State Bureau of Investigation searched 2 locations in Mooresville for Bernadette's remains. One of the locations was on Kitchie Drive, and the other was located on East Wilson Avenue. Now, a spokesperson for the police department told media that both places were locations that Bernadette might have visited, which makes me believe that they were locations she had gone to while in Mooresville right before her disappearance, visiting her foster brother. Now, it was also made clear at this point that her case was being investigated as a homicide, though the details as to why the police are so certain of her likely death haven't been released. Now, law enforcement also told the media that they had been able to identify people that Bernadette may have spoken to in the area prior to her disappearance, and that they were searching out these people to interview. Now, to conduct these searches, law enforcement utilized cadaver dogs as well as ground-penetrating radar, and this was brought in by a forensic unit from Western Carolina University. Unfortunately, there were no remains recovered. Now, these searches were covered by the media in August of 2017, but one of these articles in particular from the Mooresville Tribune was updated in 2019. It appears that the only updated information provided in this article is that law enforcement made statements indicating that Bernadette's foster brother was not a suspect or a person of interest in her disappearance. However, these statements only seem to appear in this specific article, and I couldn't find any further information on her foster brother or any potential involvement that he may or very well may not have had. So, as it stands, it seems that law enforcement may believe that he is completely uninvolved, and all we know for certain is that he was the last person known publicly to have been with Bernadette before she disappeared. Bernadette's car is currently being held in a Mooresville Police Department secure lot, and it is still available for further investigation in case more information does come forward in Bernadette's case. Now, at the time of her disappearance, Bernadette was 43 years old. She is a white woman with brown hair and brown eyes. She stood between 5 feet 5 inches tall and 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighed between 125 pounds and 140 pounds. Now, some sources report that she went by the nickname of Bernie. Now, in addition to this, there are also some sources that seem to misreport that she went missing on October 16th, 2003. However, according to NamUs, Bernadette did in fact disappear on October 13th of 2003, not the 16th. Now, if you have any information relevant to Bernadette's case, I would highly urge you to contact the Mooresville Police Department at 704-664-3311. So, what are your thoughts on today's case? I really found myself wondering what happened immediately after Bernadette's tire was changed. She had only made it around 10 miles on her trip over multiple states to return home. If the tire they replaced the flat with was just a spare and not a full-size tire, I could see how she may not have felt comfortable traveling that far. So did she return to Mooresville with her foster brother? Had she visited other people while she was there and she returned to stay with one of them? Possibly. Was she just going to get a hotel room until she could get a full-size tire in the morning? I have so many questions, but there's honestly so little information available in this case. Now, we don't know if she knew other people from the area. We don't know if the debt that she told friends she was collecting was from her foster brother or from someone else. We don't know if she willingly decided to turn south again after changing her tire and to go back to Mooresville. Now, at the same time, though, I feel that investigators must know some pretty significant and substantial information because of how sure they are that she is deceased and that her case is a homicide. Now, I feel that there are definitely details that they are not releasing publicly at this time, and that's probably to protect the integrity of the case. It is good to know, though, that even after a decade, they were still willing to investigate information about possible remains. Now, I hope that whatever information the police do have will help to eventually bring a resolution to her case. But please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Just as always, remember to remain respectful. Now, you can help to continue putting these cases back in the public eye. You can do that by sharing this video or someone else's, or even by liking, commenting, or subscribing. And even just watching videos like these, they help to keep victims' stories in people's minds. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you all soon for another case.